Recording by Meinekeime, Chapter 28, The Rescue Crew, Draco's Point of View. I felt uneasy when Hecka didn't return for lunch, but I thought maybe Harry took longer than normal. But then she returned bloody, in her own blood, and those of other owls, Hagrid's. The poor snowy owl barely made it to my study. Toppy, being the motherly person she was, immediately took care of the owls, while I called some of the other suitors I had made friends with, and we met in the living room. "Are you sure something happened and she didn't hurt herself while hunting?" Jackson asked. "Yes, I am. There are wounds made by hexes," I replied, and Joe jumped up. "Then what could have happened?" "It must have been the light. You said Hagrid returned too. Harry loves his owl to death and beyond. He would try everything to make sure she is safe and sound. That means Harry's in great danger. I'm not letting anyone hurt my future wife," Oliver said, and my inner Veela growled at his statement. Who said Harry was marrying him? Well, I should return to the matters at hand. Let's go and check up upon him. Even if it's nothing, it's better to be safe than sorry. Everybody nodded, and we were about to leave when a bunch of owls entered the room. They were carrying pieces of parchment. I grabbed one letter. On it was my address and a quick scribble. "Help Harry." We better hurry, my friends. We stormed outside and separated to Grant Mansion. Joe, being the do now, thank later type, decided to run to the building and was pushed back from it. "Are you really so stupid? If Harry's still in there, the light must have put charms on the house to ensure he didn't run away," Oliver said to him and started chanting disarming charms while I put some potions on the walls. All of them were rejected by the stones, so I had to find something else. "And Oliver?" I asked. "There's nothing. There's no spell on it. I don't think Dumbledore's father would use dark spells." Jackson stepped in front of us and cast a clear noxus when layers of charms fell from the wall. He really used dark spells, and the man calls himself a leader of the light, I said, and stepped to the destroyed entrance. "Wow," Joe said when he saw what was left of the living room. Everything was broken and all over the place. Nothing was left untouched. "We need to report this to the council. Did you see the dark blue one falling down? That was a binding spell, and the blood red one was a sterilizing spell. Joe be happy it only works on submissives," Jack explained while he checked the kitchen and different rooms. "Harry and Neville. I figured he must be with him, or Harry wouldn't need help. Weren't in one of the bedrooms, bath, or the storage room." Then a light went on in my head. "He did send us all letters, so that means he sent one of the other suitors too. And where were many hours?" I said, "Hourly." The others answered, and we ran to the tower and up the stairs. We stood in front of the door, and Joe was smarter this time and let Oliver take down the spells on the wall. "Attention! It's Oliver, Joe, Jackson, and Draco. Please go away from the door," Oliver warned whoever was behind the door and turned the knob. The door slowly opened, revealing an armed Neville that pointed his wand at us. Behind him stood a disheveled Harry ready to fight. We immediately put our wands down and held up our hands, as a sign we meant no harm. "We found you. We put the charms down so we can leave, but we should be fast if the order decides to return," I said and approached the two. Harry ran into my arms and hugged each of us. "Thank you," he whispered and let Joe go. "No problem," we answered as one. "Well, where could we go?" Neville asked, arms crossed. "We could stay at my place," each one of us said, and Neville shook his head. "Sorry, boys, that's not possible. Veela law." I nodded my head and thought a little bit. Harry had leaned against Neville and was now lost in his thoughts when he suddenly jumped up and whispered in Neville's ear. "Are you sure we're going to be safe?" his enforcer asked, but Harry nodded his head enthusiastically. Harry quickly wrote a letter stating that he was safe in case others are coming on a rescue mission. Neville just sighed and made everyone hold each other's hands out. The second it touched Harry's hand, we apparated. We were stuck for quite some time until we stood in an, for me, unknown place. It was placed a bit outside the city, and before my eyes approached the house in between two others. This is the Black residence, one of my heirlooms. Nobody's allowed to enter this house as long as I don't allow it. Please remember this place because it is under a filius charm put in place by Dumbledore years ago. I nod my head. The Black family was one of the generations of shadow managers. Sirius had been the first wizard in the line. Mages often live near cities, not in mansions, because they need people around them, and they have a lot of old magic swirling around their houses. Because in contrast to wizards, the core lives for magic, and not the magic from the core. Thank you all for helping us here. Nothing can happen to us, but don't expect to break from the cording. I am waiting for your letters. He told us with a warning finger as we left the house after he entered. End of chapter 28.